Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee. Welcome to this week's instructional video for the challenge in the TILDA Club, and this week I have designed a little scissor holder, and I've designed it in the shape of a little mannequin, little dress form. So there is a pattern sheet to download. I've printed mine straight onto cardboard so that I can create some templates. So I've gone ahead and done a few stages so that we can save a bit of time on the video. But what I've done is cut out one each of the two shapes. So you will have the little mannequin shape, and then you've got the little pocket on the front, and that's a separate piece. So what you need to do is to take your shapes and a piece of cardboard. It can be scrap cardboard. You can use some packaging from cereal boxes or anything like that. You don't need to specifically go out and buy cardboard. But if you have some scrap card stock, that's the ideal weight that you would need to do this. And so you need to trace two of the dress form. And I'm just using just an ordinary pencil. You can use whatever you want. And printing the pattern sheet directly onto cardboard makes it so much easier to make these templates. And then you just need to do one of the little half dress forms. So this is going to be for the front pocket for your little scissor holder. So there you go. So then all you need to do is just to cut them out. And by the magic of video, I've already done that. So we already have them here like this. There we go. So that's our shapes. Now what we need to do is to get a piece of wadding, and I've just got some scrap quilt wadding here. It's 100% cotton. You can use whatever you have. And you need to get some craft glue. Now it needs to be a reasonably strong craft glue because you're going to be adhering fabric to cardboard with it. So make sure it's a good one. It's the one that smells a little bit and becomes quite sticky. You know the one I mean. Dries clear, yeah. And so we're just going to stick our shapes down onto the wadding, or quilt bashing, whatever you want to call it. Call it either. There we go. And then we might pop him up there. Okay. Now I'm just going to leave those to sit for a moment. I'll just put the lid back on there. We'll just let them sit and dry a little bit before we start fiddling around with them. So what we need to do is to choose a fabric. I'm going to go with this vintagey style TILDA that I've had for quite a long time. Actually, it might fit on that piece. And I'm being very careful what projects I use it on because I'm running out of it, and I love it. Absolutely love it. So what you need to do next is to trace two of the mannequin pieces onto it. Now I want you to make sure that you leave a lot of room around the outside because we need to cut it out with about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now I have made one today already because I've only drawn these up this morning on the computer, and I didn't leave enough seam allowance with my first one, and I wished I'd have left a little bit more. So I think I did leave a generous 1/4 inch, but I think if we say 1/2 inch, that's going to be pretty much right. So just need to make sure this is dark so I can see it. Okay, so I'll pop this one right over here so that I can, as I said, give that good seam allowance. I should probably be using a friction pen or something like that, but it's not within my reach. The only thing I had here on the table was the pencil, so it has to do the job. Okay, so we've drawn 2 of those, and then we're going to, because this is a busy fabric and it's quite large, I'm going to use a contrast for the pocket on the front. So I'm going to just trace it on the back side. Should have said that before. We are tracing on the wrong side of the fabric, just because we don't want it to show through. Okay, so we're going to now cut them out, and as I said, we're going to leave a very generous seam allowance, because it's all going to be hidden away. Now, if you've made my hexagon needle book, this is a very similar project. It's a no-sew project again, so it's going to be a very quick finish for you. I like those types. So now we're going to clip these curves. So we're just going to clip in. We're not going to clip right to the line, just back from that traced line a bit. We don't want to have any fraying on the edges, and that's really important. Now just here on these corners, we're just going to cut those across a little bit like that, but we're not going to cut into them. We'll just cut into the top there like that, and then we'll just clip the curves. Okay, and so now we'll cut out these 2 mannequins. Same thing, about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm not sure if you can see my drawn lines in this light. It's I don't know what the temperature is. I think it's about 8 or 9 degrees Celsius here today. So we are into the first week of winter. We've had 3 frosts on the ground so far in the past week. It's been a bit of a rude awakening, but it's a bit gloomy today. So I'm just hope that the light is enough for you to be able to see. So as you can see, once again, I'm just clipping around this dress form. I'm just going to right angle off that top of there. Now, if we've left too much in some spots, we can cut it back. So that's not an issue. It's just that if we don't leave enough, it's going to make it very difficult. So, and we don't want to do that. We just want to make the process easy, not hard. So how are you enjoying all the challenges? I think this is challenge number 11. I have to check my list. I think it's number 11. So we're going great guns. I've got so many more things I want to share with you. We're going to start working very soon on items for your handbag. Yeah, and obviously we'll do dolls and things in between, but I just don't want to give you big projects every week. Not everyone has the time to put in, and some of those projects can be quite big. You know, just stuffing my little angel mouse last week took me a whole night. So, and I know that not everyone has a heap of spare time. Okay, so I think this is pretty right. Clean off our workspace a bit. So, okay, so this is where we're at. So we've got our 2 pieces of mannequin. We've got our little front piece there cut out as well. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out these, which I will do off camera. Okay, they're all cut out. And so now we're going to glue them on. So we will just, I'll do one with you here on the camera. So we're just going to use the wadding side of our little shape, and we're going to pop that straight down onto our onto the wrong side of our cutout, and you can line it up, and then we're going to run the glue. I'm going to start at the bottom and we're going to run it around up the corners slightly and then along the bottom. Now I like to leave that just to sit there for a little minute and to dry, and then we're going to just push that down a little bit, and then I'm going to just pop a little bit of glue at the top. So we're going to be working on opposite sides, very much like we did with the hexagon needle book. So when you're working at opposite sides all the time, you're getting the right tension. So all we're going to do now is to pick it up, and then we're going to start to lay these down. And because the glue has already started to dry, we've given it a little bit of a head start. If you start doing it as soon as you lay the glue, it just doesn't adhere properly, unfortunately. It just takes a while for it to start to go off, I suppose is the word that we're looking for. And so you can see there, and you just need to shape it with your finger as you're going, so you get that nice smooth edge. And you can see on the other side there that I've got a lovely smooth edge. And so we're just going to push all this up. Now we're going to make sure that we're not buckling our shape. We don't want to buckle it in any way, but we want to make sure it's nice and taut. And then we're going to adhere down the top of the neck there. So as I said, we've done the opposite sides. We've done the base, and then we've done the top. And if you turn that over, you can see you have a nice taut piece of fabric there. It's nice and taut. It's not buckled or changed shape in any way. Okay, and now we can start doing the sides. So the same thing, we're just not going to apply too much glue. You don't want it to have a oozing mess. And we'll use your nozzle to help you spread the glue out. And as I said, just give it a little bit of time just to start going off before you start adhering. So I tend to put the other side on, and then by the time I get back around to the other side, the process of the glue going off has just begun, and you can see that it's just going to start to stick. And if I was to try and do it straight away, yeah, I'd end up with a very much a big gluey mess. And you can see why those little snips are important. You can see how the fabric has moved away from itself there. That is really imperative that you do those snips, but you don't want to snip, as I said, right in close to your trace line. If you do that, you're going to end up with a messy finish. You're going to have fabric that's going to start to fray, and it won't be a good look. So as you can see there, I snipped to about there, and so then on the other side I have this beautiful clean line. Okay, so now all that's left to do is down the side of the neck and the top of the shoulder. I might have a little bit too much glue there, so I'll borrow some and take it over there. Now you do get gluey fingers, so I always have baby wipes at my workspace. I just have them here ready. I'll just grab one, because otherwise I'm going to transfer it over onto everything. Baby wipes tend to help remove the glue really quickly off your fingers. Okay, you see what I mean? See, that just pops straight back up, and that's because I worked from the wrong side. That was the second side that I applied the glue. So as I said, you've just got to allow it just to go off a little bit before you start adhering. And you can see that that ½ inch doesn't end up being ½ inch. You know, by the time it pulls itself down over the wadding and down over the edge of the cardboard, yeah, you're sort of left with, that one's not quite tight enough. You're sort of left with about 1/4 inch on the back. So when I only cut them 1/4 inch, you can imagine the sort of trouble that I had. Okay, so there you have your little dress form. So you're going to repeat the process for the other one here, and then you're going to do the same thing for your little pocket on the front. So I'll go ahead and do those, and then we'll come back. Okay, there we go. So we've got them all done there, all 3 pieces. Sit myself back down. So we're going to pop a piece of lace now onto the front of our pocket, and we're going to make it look a little bit like a belt. So I've just cut this little piece of ribbon. I don't know, it's probably 2.5 inches in length, and then we're just going to turn it over to the other side and glue it down. So just like that. And then that way we haven't got any glue onto the front of our little piece there. So now you need to decide which piece is going to be your back and which piece is going to be your front. I think we'll have this as the front because you'll see that beautiful rose there coming out of the pocket. So I think this is how we will go. This is how it's going to look, like this. It's adorable. Okay. So on our back piece, we're going to pop a piece of ribbon. We're just going to chop a piece of ribbon, and we're going to pop a loop. Now the reason we're doing a loop is because if you have a little scissor fob on the end of your scissors with a little parrot clasp, I know a lot of people have them, and I just searched for mine a moment ago and I can't find where they are, but you can just hook it onto this, and it'll help keep your scissors in the right spot. So I suppose the loop is optional, but I think it's a nice touch. As I said, you can just attach your scissors to that. So we're just going to apply it to the neck area there using our glue, and the ribbon's going to be down on top of itself, so it's like that. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is to completely cover this bottom part in glue, but we're not going to go right to the edge because we don't want a glue fest happening once we put the 2 pieces together. So I'm going to go about 1/4 inch in from the edge because it will spread once we squish the 2 together. So we're just going to pop the front on top of the back, and in between we've got that ribbon, and you can see there, can you see there that the glue has come out? Now I was really quite careful, I thought, and I've still got a bit of glue coming out. So just be careful that you don't put too much glue in there, because you're going to end up with really gluey edges, and nobody wants that. Okay, so once you've done that, you can then do what I've done here. This has been sitting for a few hours. I had that clipped. So this one's completely glued now. So that's one I prepared earlier. So we're just going to reuse those clips and pop them onto this little one here, and then I'll just set it aside to dry. And we will continue on with this project using the one that's already dry. And there we go. So I'll just pop that aside. I've probably got too many there. Put that one there. There we go. So we'll pop that one aside. And the pocket can be set aside too. Now I have popped a little bit of bling onto the little piece of lace there on my pocket. And you can see that this one is beautifully adhered now. And all we're going to do now is to attach our little pocket. So just get it in the right spot so that it is, I've got glue all over my fingers, so that it is nice and level. And I'm going to use just a couple of clips just to hold it all together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use a needle and thread. And I have a needle and thread here ready to go. Whoops. It seems I've just put another knot in it. And I'll just trim that. Okay, so I'm just going to start up here, and I'm just going to come in behind like you would with English paper piecing so that I can hide my knot. So my knot will come into there like so, and then I'll go back down inside a little piece. What I'm trying to do is to just hide that knot and make it really firm. And then I'm going to come back out at the corner, right at the corner. Oops. Right. There we go. Right at the corner there. Goodness me. There we have it. And now all I'm going to do is just whip stitch the two layers together. So the front layer of your full mannequin and the layer of the pocket. Now you can do this with embroidery cotton if you wish and do a lovely decorative stitch, or you could just glue a tiny bit on the side of the pocket down if you want to do it that way. I don't want to take the risk that the glue's going to get everywhere on the inside and not leave enough room for my scissors. So I've decided that the best way to do this is going to be to stitch it. And it's no big drama. The thread that I'm using is a very strong 60 weight polyester thread. It's a bottom line thread. It's one I use for English paper piecing. It's, yeah, it is quite strong. What on earth have I done here? Goodness me. There we go. So yeah, I'm just catching the little bit of that dress form and a little bit of the pocket. I'm using quite a strong needle because it needs to sort of, you're not actually going through the cardboard, you're going through the fabric on the side of the cardboard. But at the same time, you are sort of catching the edge of the cardboard. So try and use a needle that's got a bit of oomph. So hopefully you can see there how far it's going in. Anyway, so I'll just go on and continue to finish this, and I'll pop a photo at the end of the video. But this is how it's going to look. It's a little pocket there, and your little scissors are going to live inside. And as I said, if you have a scissor fob, you can attach it to the loop there, and your scissors will always be on the end of this little dress form. But you don't have to put the ribbon on if you don't want to. You can just leave it. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's little project. As I said, I have just drawn these up. They're a pretty rough drawing this time, I'm sorry. But it's there for you to download, make as many as you want, and don't forget to post them in the group so we can all see what you've been up to. I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.